What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's Scott King here with the check-in. Loving growing my YouTube channel. Now, the whole goal of it is to, help people become more aware about language patterns, how to be able to grow their business. And if that sounds like something you're interested in, especially if you're looking to grow a mobile DJ business, that's what I was able to do, then this is the channel for you. And also, I have a free training at www.coachscottking.com. Now, what I've been covering lately is mostly like limiting beliefs in language patterns and how it all comes together, right? So let's go back over a belief real quick, which I have a bunch that I'm going to be going over today, just to kind of have some fun with it, so you can see all the different things, and you probably see it on social media anyway. But basically, I think the example I used was cause, effect, meaning. Now, again, that's another thing too. When you're talking about beliefs, I'm not talking about like religious beliefs. I'm just talking about, thoughts that you have about any particular subject that could be holding you back from, acquiring the success that you want. Now, so again, cause, effect, meaning. Now, when we talk about that, I think the example I used was because it rained, I got wet, and that means I'm going to catch a cold. So basically, we're going to be able to take this model and apply it to other beliefs that you see on Facebook or social media, and then we can just kind of pick them apart using the sleight of mouth patterns, because you can see here. Now, this is pretty important to understand too. So we'll explain each one of these individual pieces, and if you guys want more information, Doug O'Brien has an entire book on what all of this graph actually is. Yeah, I want you to think for a second, if you've ever been into an argument with somebody, and you didn't come out on top, or it didn't feel right when you left, the conversation. This is 16 or so different ways of how you could have handled that conversation in order to make it, better, or come out on top, or not have lost the way. And now, basically, what you want to do is be able to hold composure when having conversations, so that you could scroll through all these different options that you have when you're faced with a confrontation or a belief that somebody else has, that you can gently dismantle their belief. I mean, when I was first learning the meta model and other things, NLP-ish, I'm a very harsh person to begin with. So when someone would have a belief that I knew I could dismantle easily, I would. And sometimes, people aren't ready for that. So just remember, whenever you're having an argument or somebody else has a belief that could be slowing them down, these are all the different things you can do to dismantle a belief, any belief, really. Again, we're not talking about religion. We're just talking about things that could be holding somebody back from achieving what they want to achieve in life. So we're going to get into this because it's going to be pretty fun. And I'm sure you've had these beliefs, or maybe you'll hear some of these beliefs and be like, oh yeah, I guess I could see how that's a possibility. So let's go to over here, right? We're going to start with number one. As you can see, because the DJ used the sync button to rock the party, that means that DJ wasn't any good. So I'm sure you've heard this a bunch of times, right? So we're going to go back to the sleight of mouth pattern. And if you see in the middle, right, the cause and effect, because the DJ used the sync button, that doesn't mean any good. Now, I want you to think about this as the person who actually says this, right? What do you think their intent is? So if you see the belief in the center, what do you think their intent is? Their intent is to make somebody else look bad, right? Or what would be a positive intent for the person who says something like this? Oh, I'm better because I know how to mix without the sync button, right? So that's when the ego comes into play. So again, if you're looking at the center, right, because the DJ used the sync button, what would be the consequence? The consequence would be, oh, because they don't have any skills, because they didn't spend enough time to learn the skills, and now they have just an easy button to make mixing easy without having to, take the time to practice. Maybe the other person has an ego that's hurt because the person using the sync button doesn't understand, how much time it took to learn this one thing that a computer can do, instantly. So, but what's the consequence? The consequence is that you won't have that skill. Do you really need that skill? then you can, start to dismantle that. Well, maybe you don't need the skill of learning how to blend beats together to rock a party if you're going to rock 128 house music for 5 hours or something like that, right? So again, we got the intent here. We're just dealing with the middle line right now. So we could, apply to self, which is kind of like we did. Say I was the DJ that used the sync button. If I was to apply that to myself, I'd be like, oh, what does it matter? I still, nobody else is gonna understand or care as long as everybody had a good time, right? And then we have all these other different things like model of the world. What is your model of the world? Your model of the world, if you go to the top left, is that, oh yeah, real DJs use vinyl and they had to learn how to count beats and, match up their records with the pitch adjust, and if you can't do that, then you're not a real DJ, right? Right. You can see how we can start to have fun with this. And then let me go back to the other beliefs, right? All right, so that was one belief. And then we have the second belief. Oh, real DJs mix with records. So slide them out. So what's the belief here? Oh, real DJs mix with records. So if we were to do a redefine, which is X plus Y, equals whatever, you're a real DJ. And then if you look at the X, right, underneath that, let's say X is real DJs. Now let's go ahead and redefine. What is a real DJ? Well, I'm actually in the middle of writing my book, and how I define what a real DJ is that anybody that plays music for people. Doesn't matter how you play it. You could be, just playing from an app that just scrolls through, right? But if you're playing for multiple people and they end up dancing, I mean, a real DJ, could be just doing whatever it takes to get the desired outcome. Maybe it's just cocktail hour music. So okay, X, Y, right? We'll say X is real. What a real DJ, and then Y, because a real DJ uses records, right? And then we could do a redefine even like underneath the Y, what uses records. What's a redefine of record these days? What's is it 33 and a third? Is it the 7 inches, the 11 inch? No. What is a real record, right? Like, is it a Serato control record? Like, you can start to really get into the details, and the more you get into the details, the more you could pick apart a belief, because it's all about gaining a little bit of ground on any belief that you have, so that you can get towards whatever the end goal is. So maybe it's being on radio, or having thousands of people watch your TikTok stream or something like that. You need to start somewhere. So if you start having all these little building blocks of limiting beliefs in your head, then you're not going to be able to get there. So what this model or framework does, it picks apart generalizations so that you can clearly understand what could be holding you back. So let's go back to these 10 beliefs that I wrote down. The ones on the bottom are the one I came up with. The market isn't good enough to support me or support my career as a DJ, right? So back to the belief structure, right? The market isn't good enough to support the career as a DJ. So how true is that? Is it true, right? Where do you live? Are there other DJ companies out there that are, supporting themselves full-time as a DJ, right? Or are they club DJs that came from a certain area and they travel all over the place? Something like DeVille, right? He keeps moving all over the place. I can't keep track of that guy. So really, because the market can't control me as a DJ, or are you just limiting yourself, right? If you were to apply to yourself, top right? So, or next hierarchy of criteria, right? Apply to yourself. What are you doing to make the market work for you? So, and then it's kind of like, well, are there other companies, holding themselves, full-time career as a DJ, or can you travel to make that end? And then another question is like, how bad do you want it, right? So again, redefine. What is a full-time DJ to you? Maybe a full-time DJ is somebody who edits during the week and sells their edits on a mix site, and then they still DJ on the weekends. But all of that is related to DJing, right? So if you were getting really good at Photoshop to make flyers, and you're still helping the club promote a special night where you got paid extra because you helped promote that night with Photoshop skills or marketing skills or whatever, right? So again, are you clearly defining it? And what is the exact intent? Is the intent just to play music to have people move, or Are you looking for the celebrity status? People become DJs for all different types of reasons. Some people are motivated by money. Some people are motivated by prestige. What is the answer here? So, and again, what is your hierarchy of criteria? Top right. So if you wanted to be a DJ, is it more important just to play music? Is it more important to be known? Is it more important? Would you mind traveling? All these questions. And then we go back to the beliefs, right? You just sit there and pick apart different angles of what a belief is so that you could get rid of that and then move forward. That's the whole goal, right? So, well, that's my goal for you. The market isn't good enough to support me as a career. That was number 3. All DJs have to mix in order to be good. That isn't even true either, right? You don't have to mix. There's so many DJs inside Orlando that can't mix at all, but they can, they have a line of songs that they're going to, run through plus talk in between each song to move crowds. And I would bet that they could probably get more people than a mixing DJ in an audience. And again, what is the goal, right? We go back to the sleight of mouth model. What do you want the goal to be? I mean, if you just want to be a mixing DJ and get everybody to, move around, how you play music, I mean, that's going to take a really different type of skill than somebody who can get on the microphone and tell people to do things and then they do it, right? Move crowds. That's kind of why hip hop's so popular. You got the one guy that can really, mix and scratch records with the other guys on the microphone telling people to move, and then it just becomes a pretty deadly combination. But you could be good at either one thing. Just understand that, are you in the right spot for what you want to do? That was number 5. I'm not good enough to make it as my career. Well, we all have to start somewhere, right? So if we go back to the sleight of mouth, like, what does good enough even mean? Like, would you be able to lower your standard of living until you were able to get better? And then what do you think the intent is there? Is that really what you want? And how bad do you want it, type thing, right? So if you go to the intent, what's the consequence? If you don't practice or hustle to go get gigs, then you won't be able to support it. And it won't be the world's fault. It's be your fault for not going and hustling. And then, like, redefining here, are you able to, change your style up to make the crowds, happy, right? Or are you stubborn and you want to stay in your own spot? Well, maybe staying in your own spot but not being able to do it full time might be the answer for you. So there's all these different things to find out what the answers are. And on top of that, there's DJs out there who have, broken any limiting belief that you have. I remember when I was, what was it? I don't know, 15 years ago, before AM came out, they were like, oh yeah, you'll never be able to, mix different types of music and have it all work together. And then when AM came out and he did all these mashups, it just became the norm. And then there was like an influx of all these different types of mashups and stuff that came out. So back to limiting beliefs. I don't have enough equipment to practice. Well, when I started, I didn't have anything. I just went to a roller rink. They had the CDs there and the CD players. It was just getting there and learning how to play the music and how to load up the songs. And there was no mixing involved. And it was a full-time job. And I didn't have any other job. So maybe someone who has this belief just wants to believe that's the belief so they don't have to move forward and find out what the answer is, right? I can't compete with other DJs or other companies. Well, that's something you would have to learn inside of your own market, right? So would you rather we don't have to compete, right? You could just join them or create a group or do your own thing until it becomes something else. I mean, as long as you're moving forward and being ethical about what you're doing, you could do whatever you need to do to keep going. So again, we could definitely, break whatever those thoughts are. Now, if you're thinking that you're going to be able to build a company without, spending money to get leads, that's, that might be something else to think about too. If you want leads, the best way to get them is to pay for them. Organic leads take forever, and word of mouth runs off. You have to start somewhere to get the word of mouth to even, going, depending on where you're at. The DJ used Spotify. So some people out there might have a stigma that you're not a good DJ because you use Spotify, and that's not true at all. I do so many different events that they'll just give you a Spotify link, and that's just the music that they want, and they're hiring you to do it. So ego aside, you got the money. That's what I'm doing. All right. Once again, we're in a service-based industry, so we're here to serve. Unless you're a club DJ and you're just doing your own thing, and that way you just get whatever cards are dealt, because that's a different type of animal than being like a wedding DJ or a mobile DJ. So if here's a big one. When I was doing clubs, and I bet almost every resident club DJ has this in their thought process at least once. We have thousands of thoughts a day. They at least get that one once or twice a day, right? Especially when they were doing their gigs. If the club night was slow, that must mean the DJ wasn't any good, right? And there could be so many different types of reasons why the club night was slow. Well, maybe it was poorly advertised. Maybe people don't like going to that club because the service is bad, right? Well, as a DJ, we're really good at placing blames on other things to make it not point to us, right? So, oh, it rained that day. That's why it was slow. Oh, this was just a slow week of the year because last year it was this slow because it was right when school started or something like that. Or, it always gets busier in the beginning of the month when people get paid and that kind of thing. So we want to redirect from, it may be been slow today, but it's going to pick up tomorrow, or the weather was bad, and we all know the place slows down when the weather's bad. So, and what we got number 10, so this is the limiting belief that held me back the most, right? So the more time you put into your craft, the more people will want to pay you for your skills. And that's a belief that held me back for a very long time. And I thought that, if I would just had all these different skills and all these different things that I could do, that I could have a more demand for my service, and then people would pay me more for my time. It worked like that for a little time, and then technology came in, and then everybody had the same amount of material that I had, and more people could do what I could do. So for me to charge more for my time didn't work out that way. In fact, I felt like I kind of aged out. So instead of working for other talent agencies, I ended up, building my own company and then working smarter. See, this is a belief that it's very important to understand. The more time you put into your craft and the smarter that you work, the more people will pay you for your skills. Because when you work for another talent agency, if you could do all these different things, they could put you on something that pays less, but you're the only one that can do it. So you pigeonhole yourself into something that works against you now. And I never thought that would happen. And as it did, I brought this to the attention of the people that were above me, and they told me that I was losing my mind or gaslighting me. So I decided to break free from that. And then here I am teaching other people about limiting beliefs. Alrighty, man. Again, guys, thanks for your time. If you want to learn more how to grow your business, www.coachscottking.com. Got a Facebook group. I got a new app for wedding people in the wedding industry. If you want to know more about that, I'll be releasing that before in the group before the public. All right, guys, have a good day. Peace.